What's up, YouTube? Today we're back for the final installment of our series of the top 5 Genesis cards for each god. Today we're going to look at Nature, followed by War. IMX linking has already begun, so of course Trial of the Gods comes first, and then we'll see Genesis be unlocked to trade. So you can buy and sell these cards off the market. So here are the top 5 cards. We'll start with Nature. Let's dive in and show you guys some cards that you might want to consider picking up. In 5th place for Nature, we've got Hippolyta Divided. This is a 6 mana 4/5, but its roar is you get to pick one, and the creature gets either +1/+4 and the Olympian tribe, or Blitz, Protected, and Amazon tribe. So currently the tribes don't really come into play in most decks, but in the future I think that this could be huge. Olympian Nature is not really a commonly run deck right now, but Amazons of course are, and that is the more often chosen power, is the Blitz, Protected, and Amazon. And what that enables is you to play this 4/5 with Protect and Blitz, so you can instantly play it, hit something of your opponent's, kill it, not take any damage yourself. So you get to have a big tempo swing where you're dropping a big 4/5 and you're wiping out your opponent's creature that has 4 health or less. Next up, we've got the Gloam Druid. This card I think is going to be even bigger in the future. Right now, it is a 2 mana 2/2. It has a roar of your confused creatures get +2 strength. So what do I mean by it's going to get bigger in the future? The more confused cards we see introduced that are powerful and playable, the more powerful the Gloam Druid becomes. There was a lot of excitement when the Bladefly was buffed recently. It now is a 2/2, and it summons 2 copies of itself for 4 mana, which means you're getting 6/6 worth of creatures for 4 mana. And if they're all confused, you then drop a Gloam Druid. All 3 of those get +2 strength. So suddenly, for 6 mana on turn 5 with a bag, you could have 4 creatures on board. 3 of them are going to be 4/2s. There's a lot of synergy with the confused. There's a lot of synergy. Those Bladeflies are also wild. Wild have a lot of buffs, like Trial of the Hydra. So there's a lot of nature decks that can benefit from a Gloam Druid, and I think we'll see more confused creatures showing up in the future, and this Gloam Druid's going to be big. Ooh, in 3rd, we've got the Black Rhino, one of my favorite cards. It's a 6 mana 5/5. It's confused, and it has a roar of pick one. This creature gets either +2 strength and Twin Strike, or +3 health and Frontline. +3 health and Frontline is going to be chosen 99% of the time. Putting down a 5/8 for 6 mana is huge, and it has Frontline, so your opponent's going to have to deal with it one way or another. And you can run 2 of these. It's only a common card, so imagine dropping one of these followed by another one on the next turn. That's 16 health that your opponent has to somehow deal with. They're going to have to sacrifice a lot of their own creatures or get lucky with a lightning strike, for instance, but otherwise they're going to have to chew up a lot of their own creatures just trying to bust through your Black Rhinos. And if you ever find yourself in the situation, which is pretty rare, where you need the +2 strength and Twin Strike, that might come in handy if, for instance, you had an Arrow of Rage. If your opponent had a drop that has 7 health, and you need to use your Arrow of Rage to clear it. Maybe your opponent has a Demogorgon on board, which has 6 health. If you play the Black Rhino as a 5/8, the Arrow of Rage takes the strength from one of your creatures on board and does damage. So it would only do 5 damage, whereas if you give this +2 strength and Twin Strike, your Arrow of Rage would now do 7 damage. So that's maybe the only instance where that's considered a good play. Typically because 5 health can get killed fairly easily compared to 8 health, which is much more difficult to deal with. Next up is the Underbrush Boar. For value, this is the number 1 card, but this is the number 2 card overall in the Genesis set for nature. But it's only a rare card. These things are going to fly off the shelf, I'm guessing, as soon as they become available. This is a phenomenal card. It is a 2 mana 3/3. It's confused. At the end of the turn, Underbrush Boar is summoned, attack a random enemy creature. Because it attacks a random enemy creature, that means it can attack hidden creatures. It can go around front line. It can go around and hit back line. This thing can hit anything with its initial end of its turn that it's summoned. It can hit anything. So if your opponent drops a Shadow of Lethanon on turn 1, which is a hidden cat that deals damage every turn and then hides again, this Underbrush Boar can take it out. More importantly, the typical scenario you're going to see with this thing is your opponent might play something like a Vanguard Axewoman, which is a 2/3. If your opponent plays a 2/3, and then you play the Underbrush Boar, you're taking 5 stats off of their side of the board. And of course, your Underbrush Boar will take 2 damage, killing the 2/3. So it's now a 3/1. It's going to add 4 stats to your side of the board. That is a 9 stat swing for 2 mana. That is insane. This card also, when it comes back from a void, for instance, from like a Pyramid Warden, it will actually re-trigger the attack at the end of the turn it's summoned, whereas Roars will not re-trigger when they come back from voids. This is actually just text on the card, and the text will actually happen. So this card is just brutal in so many ways. It's also confused, so it has synergy with the Gloam Druid. It's also wild, so it has synergy with Trial of the Hydra, and the regen type decks where wild tags are very nice to have. And it's a 3/3 for 2 mana. If you're playing a 2-cost card, it's typically going to have something like 2 attack, 3 defense. So a 3/3 in general is just a good card. A 3/3 that also has all of this additional text of being able to attack anything. And when it comes back from a void, it can attack anything. It's just an amazing card. It's just an amazing card. And in first place, we have the Avatar of Nature, which is a 5 mana 5/5. At the end of your turn, summon a 1/1 walking plant. So typically, if you're dropping a 5-drop, 5/5 is pretty average stats. A vanilla 5-drop would be something like a 5/6. So this actually, though, is not a 5/5. It basically comes out as a 6/6 because you instantly, at the end of your turn that you summon it, get a 1/1 walking plant. So you're getting 12 stats for 5 mana. And this summons a new one every single turn. And in addition, it's not just summoning a vanilla 1/1, it's actually summoning a walking plant, which has the afterlife of Heal Your God for 4. So all of this combined makes Avatar of Nature something that you absolutely have to kill the turn it comes down. If your opponent plays this and you don't kill it instantly, you're going to be in big trouble. All right, moving on to War. In 5th place, we've got Master Tactician. This guy is a 2-drop, and he has 2 strength, 2 health. He's protected, and has a roar of all other friendly creatures gain flank until end of turn. So if you play this early, turn 1, turn 2, it's very sticky. It's hard to kill in 1 turn. It's going to stick around. It's going to help you develop your board. And if you don't play it on curve, much later in the game, this card actually can just win games outright. If your opponent has some big frontliners out, you can drop a Master Tactician, all of your creatures on board get flank, and you can just end the game just like that. It's also a Viking, which has great synergy in Viking decks, which we're starting to see Viking Tribe become a little bit more playable with future sets, with more Vikings that are playable. The Viking tag is going to become more valuable. We currently have Valka's Axe, which is ridiculously good, which works really well with Vikings. It will help buff them +2/+2. So I think that this card will also be one that gets a little bit better in the future. Next up, we got Out of Its Misery. It's a 1-cost spell. Deal 1 damage to a friendly creature. If it dies, randomly pull a creature from your deck into your hand and give it +3/+3. So this works insanely well with something like a chicken egg. So if you play the Confused Chicken, which is a 1/1, it's an expectant chicken, technically. It also spits out an egg, which is a 0/3, which is on fire. So 2 turns later, when it is a 0/1, you can Out of Its Misery the egg. The egg goes away. You get a 2/2 chicken, and you get to draw a card from your deck, and it gets +3/+3. All this for 1 mana. You can also use it if you don't have an egg out. If you have something like the Card Shark, which spits out 2 1/1s, or Nimble Pixie spits out 2 1/1s, you can easily sacrifice a 1/1 in order to get yourself a much bigger, beefier card from your deck. In third, we've got the Size of the Harvest. It's a 4-mana, 4/2 relic with God Blitz, and its roar is give +1 strength to a random friendly creature. The Size of the Harvest have been historically one of the best relics, if not the best relic in the game. The Slayer God power is eventually getting nerfed with the new set that's coming out eventually in the near future. And the Size of the Harvest have probably been responsible solely for the deaths of thousands and thousands of players. With the current Slayer, you can just keep adding durability every single turn, so this stays equipped for life. The turn it comes out, you can do 4 damage to anything on board to control the board very easily, or you can just keep going face with this thing. Use it in conjunction with Whetstones, which add +4 attack. Use that in combination with Lead the Charge, which turns all of your creatures on board for 2 mana into attack whatever your relic is. So if you use Size of the Harvest, Whetstone, you now have an 8 attack relic. All of your creatures with Lead the Charge now have 8 attack. So Size of the Harvest, definitely one of the best relics. Remains to be seen how good it will be or how it will change once the new God powers come out and Slayer is no longer the beast that it once was. Slayer has been nerfed probably 5 times now, and it's still kicking. So I'm sure something will still be kicking after the nerf. Next up, we have Aeneas. This is a 6-mana 3/3. He's an Olympian. He has Blitz, Twin Strike, protected. At the end of your turn, this creature becomes protected. That is very sticky. This guy is hard to kill because he's always going to have protected come your turn. If your opponent is playing the Aeneas, it can instantly deal 6 damage to the board. If you're playing an Intense Training type deck where you're buffing creatures in your hand, this can drop as a much bigger drop, and it's going to have protected, and then it's going to regain protected, so you can easily kill something. Oftentimes you can kill 2 things. It will then regain protected. This thing is huge. It's an Olympian, so Olympian decks absolutely must run Aeneas. It's such a good card. And it works insanely well with cards like Hector. Hector looks in your void and copies any tag like Blitz, Twin Strike, protected. So if Aeneas is in your void, that means your Hector is going to drop and be just like Aeneas. You can also have something that has Leech in your void with Hector. Hector is a core card, so he's not on this list, but this Aeneas works insanely well with Hector. And finally, in first place, we've got the Avatar of War. So the Avatar of War is an 8-mana 8/8. It has Leech. It has Roar. Equip a 5/2 Sentient Flame Blades with God Blitz. And after you attack, heal your god for 5. So the Avatar of War can drop. You can immediately impact the board because it equips you a weapon, which can deal 5 damage. That 5 damage then heals you for 5. And then the avatar itself also has leech. So if it's not dealt with instantly, the next turn you can heal for 8 with the avatar plus 5 from your relic's second hit. If you're playing Slayer, you can add durability to your 5/2 sentient flame blades and just perpetually heal and kill people. The Avatar of War is huge. It heals. It makes instant impact. It is a phenomenal finisher for War from the Genesis set. And that's going to do it for our series on Genesis cards. Make sure you check out the top 10 core cards as well. And I'm excited. IMX is coming soon. We'll have Genesis cards trading very shortly, hopefully within the next few weeks, months. We don't know yet. But I'll be keeping my eyes peeled and let you guys know when it happens. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next week. With